Expedition from Hell, The Lost Tapes tells the story of a 5,000-mile trek across the Amazon. The story is wild and will have you on the edge of your seat. We have David Freed, executive producer, and Alexander Hernandez, one of the participants. Floored. Thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Alex, let's go ahead and start with you. Mickey Grossman, he's a cancer survivor, a survivalist, a special forces veteran. He put out this mission and an adventure to raise awareness for cancer. So, I mean, the premise and the mission statement, it sounds great. Tell us a little bit about how you met him and how you got to be a part of this.
Anytime you do something great, it starts off with this beautiful idea. I was at a chamber event. There was wine. We were all in suits. A beautiful young lady comes up and says, "Hey, do you want to help kids with cancer? You want to raise some money? And maybe you got to cross a couple difficult swamps, but you're doing a great thing for kids." And I'm going, "That's me. Raise my hand." With the other hand, I'm drinking wine as I raise the other. Next thing you know, I'm on a trip doing some crazy things that I would have never imagined.
David, let's talk a little bit about these Lost Tapes, because it was filmed, documentary style. So you see the good, the bad, the ugly, the scary, all of it, but not everything was part of this. Tell us a little bit about the Lost Tapes and what we're going to see in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. The Lost Tapes, we've got hundreds of hours of footage that we had to forensically dig into, dissect, and find some kind of an organization for. They were filming everything. Mickey brought 3 cameras into this 5,000-mile trek, which is a lot of work. This is 2012 cameras, so they're kind of bigger. This includes chargers and solar powered arrays and, hard drives and memory cards and all the stuff that goes into that. So clearly filming was a priority for Mickey, and he wanted everything filmed. He filmed men going to the bathroom more often than I would like to admit. But as we're going through this, suddenly we'd see a shot. My cat wants to be on TV. Suddenly we would see a shot of a man falling through a bridge, and someone is bleeding, and a group of armed soldiers with machine guns surrounding our camp. But we wouldn't have any context for any of that. We didn't know what was going on there. So the first part was really just trying to put this into some kind of digestible order so we could find the story inside of all of that. And then, every day that went by, just some new layer, some new unexpected twist, something that we just would never have seen coming emerges from the tape. And then there's the tape that we didn't see at first. I think you're going to have to wait for the latter half of the season for that one, but there's a lot of good stuff here.
Alexander, when did you realize that this was not what you signed up for? Like, was there a moment that you're like, I should stop, but I don't know what to do? Like, tell me a moment when you're like, this is not what I signed up for.
It's actually embarrassing to say. I mean, probably the first 15, 30 minutes, I was in pain on the floor. So it was almost immediately. Then at that point, it was pride, not wanting to give up, and the thought that I signed up to, help raise awareness for kids with cancer. How am I going to give up? But it was very early on. Some of the stuff you got to see.
Let's talk about the 5,000-mile journey, because a lot of times people who have survived something, I think especially in our city, there's a lot of marathons, half marathons, 5Ks, and people want to raise awareness. But a marathon is 26.2 miles. This is 190 marathons put together to go across the Amazon just for purposes of numbers. Talk a little bit about, maybe David, some of the things that just floored you about this whole expedition, the people that joined, what, people getting injured, just what was it like for you to go through all this?
I love how you did the math on that first. I really appreciate the marathon comparison, because for us with those hundreds of hours of footage, I did that math once, and it takes months to watch all of that. Months, so yeah, I'm a fan. This was exciting. The first thing you'll see, look at this guy sitting next to me on the Zoom call. This is Alex Hernandez, certified financial planner from Orlando, Florida, in a nice suit with great glasses in a comfortable room, and he's warm and everything is good. Why the heck does he put himself into the middle of the Amazon jungle with a Mickey Grossman, right? This is the first question that we ask. You watched other comparable or completely incomparable discovery shows about expeditions and survivalists, and they always pick the best of the best to go with them into the jungle and to survive this thing. Alex, he's done some camping. He lives in Orlando, so there's some swamps nearby. He's familiar with the outside, but he's definitely not what you would expect. So that fish out of water thing that we saw over and over again with some of the participants on this was a fascinating part of the watch.
We call it glamping, by the way, David.
Of course.
Alex, the best part, I mean, you're watching this thing and you're terrified, sitting at home, not actually being there. But Alex, I love your smile and you seem like a happy person. So we know that you came out the other side of this. But of course, at that time, there wasn't the social media factor that we have now. And like you were talking, David was talking about the equipment. David, what was it like or Alex, what was the moment that you came back home and had to tell everybody, like, this is what I just went through? Like, what was that moment like for you?
You know what? It's funny. When I came back, I went through a period of sort of decompression, of trying to realize, because when you go through that, you go through some traumatic moments. It takes you a while to get back into society and have normal or regular conversations. So when I was in the mix of it, I would sit there kind of quietly observing, going, what's going on? Is this, is this supposed to be part of it? I don't know. I'm getting interviewed, but I don't quite know how to respond, except that, hey, I was in pain.
And then quickly, David,
Alex is still on the expedition, I think is what he just said.
Awesome. And then really quickly here, what is it about, somebody like a Mickey Grossman? Because you always hear about someone who is charming, is charismatic, who you believe in their mission, whether it might be the leader of a religious organization, a financial institution, somebody that you meet in the dating world. But what was it about him that people were just drawn to, that you saw?
Oh, this is such a good question. Mickey is a larger than life character, right? He, like everyone, contains multitudes. There are a lot of sides to this dude. So the most obvious one, the first one that people will see, is the guy who's yelling and screaming and kind of hard to deal with. My way or a highway, former military demolitions expert approach to things. There were a lot of questions we had early on, going into this, again, addressing that question of why would someone follow Mickey into the jungle, especially once they see how things are going. We had early, we would put on our tinfoil hats and we thought about cultishness and culty behaviors around, a leader who puts his people into a dangerous situation that only he could save them from, which is kind of like cult building 101 type stuff. At one point I asked Alex when we were interviewing if he had experienced some version of a Stockholm syndrome, and one of the things I just was so floored by was that a lot of the participants would give Mickey the benefit of the doubt, no matter how badly things got, no matter what hell they were going through. They would say things like, it must have been part of Mickey's plan. Like, the struggle is the point and we're all here to have a test or learn some kind of a lesson, So from that first perspective, we were really exploring like how much of this was Mickey's sort of like culty leadership style, and we found some of it.
And you found some of it. Well, cannot wait to continue watching. This story is just completely wild. I want everyone to go ahead and watch Expedition from Hell, The Lost Tapes on Discovery, going to be on Max as well too. David, Alex, thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having us.